Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you to be here. So welcome to this first year presentation. For the presentation of the project of the first year of this Master JMIN. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you for the jury to be there. So just before starting, I will give you a few words to talk about these M1 projects. First, the objectives of this project. We wanted to have a place for the students to be introduced to writing, design, and development of an original project, and also to have their first big teamwork experience. When I say big, it's a bit longer than what they had all along the year. And therefore, we asked them to develop a 10-minute interactive experience. It could be a game, but it could be also something more mysterious. And they had about 3 months and a half to do it in the same time that they have lectures. So it could be more about 1 month's work, but diluted in 3 months and a half. We dedicate 2 days to the presentation of these projects. The first one you had yesterday was dedicated to the experimentation of these projects itself, in order to let you have time to really experience all these diverse propositions. And today, all the teams will come to present you the statement of their intent and also the way they developed this project. They have a wide freedom in the way they present it to you. They will have between 10 and 15 minutes to present it. So to keep some time to discuss with you, jury, and I will ask you, anyone of the jury can tell me if they want to share first a testimony of the experience they had yesterday, and then we're going to start a discussion for each team. So it will be for 10 or 15 minutes. Just few reminder, we will ask you, and we thank you for doing it, we will ask you to fulfill an evaluation form to get some feedbacks on what you felt of the originality, if you understand correctly the intents of the students, how you felt about the quality of the interactive experiment, and also the technical achievement of the experiment. So thank you in advance for all these feedbacks that will be shared to the students as well. So today we have 12 projects to listen to. 6 this morning, 6 this afternoon, with a break in between. You have all that in the program that were shared with you. Here is a view of these 12 projects that you know already because you experienced them. And I think, I don't know if you have questions, but if you don't, let the show begins. And we're gonna welcome the first team of this morning, Le Dernier Courrier.
Hello everyone, we are excited to present Le Dernier Courrier, a narrative adventure game set in a peaceful village where you play as a postman on his final delivery. This mini open world experience is designed for casual players who enjoy calm and soulful stories. Ready to join this final journey? We will take you there.
Inspired by the life of Joseph Foulon and Pierre Michon's book, you play as Joseph making his final round as a postman in a village in the south of France. As you deliver your final letters, you will meet characters with discreet, tiny, sometimes almost invisible lives, yet imbued with wisdom. You will discover these characters and their bonds, memories, and daily lives. All of them have their very own personal relationship with Joseph. Talking with them is all about discovering their connection to life itself, their experiences, dreams, and remorses. In a context tinged by goodbyes, these characters reflect on a mutual improvement with pragmatism and nostalgia. Explore, listen, share, and decide the fate of your memory. The three pillars of Le Dernier Courrier are freedom, exploration, and exchange, or more precisely, human connection. Freedom is at the heart of the game. Nothing is imposed. You can search, reflect, get involved, or simply wander. We don't guide, we invite, and you are the one to choose what you can learn from your past. Exploration leads to the discovery of objects, places, and people, and from these encounters with people, exchanges are born. Conversations, shared stories, a letter to deliver, or an object to pass on. Small human moments that give meaning to each step.
One of our main intention was to immerse the player in the Gard region around 1900. So we tried to reflect this in the vegetation, architecture, colors, and sounds typical of the south of France, such as olive trees, the color of stone, and the sound of crickets. It was also important to us to reinforce the bittersweet feeling of the last day and the page turning for Joseph. To support this, we created a system of light change as well as an evolving sound design according to the time of day, with bird song in the morning and owl song in the evening, for example.
We also wanted to create an atmosphere that was both peaceful and lively, so the player could enjoy a stroll through flourishing landscapes. The wind in the vegetation, the falling leaves, or the music that gave the soft and happy feeling of regrets accompany this ride. Work has also been done on visual elements such as landmarks or paths to better guide players without taking them by the end. Finally, it was important to us for players to meet some engaging characters who share memories, regrets, and desires, inspiring reflection on human connection. To give them more variety, we chose to make them expressive through their unique features, animations, and voices proper to each.
The music is based on the expression to give the A, donner-le là. Which, beyond its musical meaning, evokes harmony and alignment. It reflects the connection between the story experienced by the player and that of the real Joseph. The more their actions align, the more the music converges toward A.
The first thing the player can do when starting the game is to collect the letters that they can choose whether or not to deliver. These letters can be found in a small box, which should be one of the first things the player comes across. And it's an opportunity to introduce the player to the way the 2D physics works in regards to the bag and the handing over and delivery of letters. It being one of our pillars, exploration is of course a big part of our gameplay. For this, the player can either choose to explore the world by foot, if they want to take it a bit slower and appreciate the scenery around them. Or if they're in a bit more of a hurry and want to go a bit faster, they can choose to ride their bicycle. Scattered across the world, the player will be able to come across a few different inhabitants with which they can discuss about various topics and get to know them and their distinct personalities. They'll also be able to deliver them letters, these being the letters that we collected at the start, and of course, we'll only be able to deliver letters if letters are due. More elements that are scattered across the world and that the player can come across when exploring are various different points and objects with which you can interact. And through these interactions, the player will learn a lot more about not only the character that they play, but also the universe in which they're playing. All these elements, all these interactions and discussions that the player can come across are all centered around the core of the game, which is making important choices. This being more specifically in regards to the endgame, where the player, in their final discussion, depending on the choice that they make, the ending can change.
From the beginning of the project, we wanted to use Unreal Engine for the visual of the game, since the global atmosphere was more prone to work with the Unreal aesthetic. But the majority of the team were new to the Unreal environment. That's where we introduced our main way of working: try first, decide after. At the start of the project, we gave us ourselves 2 weeks to try out the engine and just test things with it. After this delay, we finally settled on on if we were going to use it or not. And as you can see today, we're still on it, so it worked pretty well.
And the major issue of this project was to create an open world, and therefore optimizing foliage. Like, for example, at the beginning, when we started placing grass, not even the whole map, the frame rate dropped at 3 FPS, so it wasn't possible. But, so in order to keep both good visual rendering and good performances, we decided to work with Elodie's to tweak engine settings and to reduce the number of trees per model. And the most important point of this is that we tried. And sometimes it was successful, sometimes it was not, but in the end, we learned a lot.
As for the accessibility part of the game, we really wanted to make that our main target, casual gamers, could easily understand what's going on. We made input clear, and we gave the player the possibility to shape them to their needs. There's still a lot of accessibility feature we wanted to implement, but we didn't have the time to, like font resizing and more contrast options. But as we speak, we're working on a Steam release that will have all those implemented.
Thank you for your attention, and a special thanks to Maya, who worked on the UX and the UI. You can find Le Dernier Courrier on itch.io by scanning this QR code. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as I said before, I will invite some people of the jury who wants to share the experience they had playing Un Dernier Courrier yesterday. So, who would like to start? Please don't be shy. Yes, thank you, Jaime.
Hi, first of all, I want to congratulate you for the amazing work you have done. It was quite stunning to be in front of what could perfectly be a canvas and to be able to realize that that was a canvas where you could explore, where you can enjoy what is surrounding you. It was quite clear where you should go, what you should do, despite that, as you will describe it, you were not obliged to. You could do whatever you want. And that, I think, is part of the best thing about our media, about the interactive media, that we can choose, and you give choices, and all of those choices were correct, which I think is one of the best parts of every interactive experience. From the accessibility perspective, I also thank you, because the details you have had are amazing, and keep on the good work. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So congrats in that sense, because the aesthetic experience is marvelous, because you have done with very limited items and create a perfect atmosphere. So in that sense, it's delightful. The freedom of being biking all around, and at the same time, the just simply magic solution of making the bike disappearing. As you remember, maybe in games like Red Dead Redemption, many players spend a lot of time looking for the huts because they lost their huts and they were looking around. Having the bike disappear or appear just in a magical way, but okay, it's part of the immersion, it's part of the story, it's wonderful. And at the same time, when you go into the interface and you just make absolutely clear, over here you don't have the bike, over here you can use the bike. It's, as my partner said, perfectly clear. You always know how to do or what you cannot do in a scenario. And it makes more enjoyable because it's simple actions in a nice and wonderful aesthetic. So congrats. It's absolutely a sensation of freedom with the bike. In that sense, it's quite natural. And it evokes many other things from the pictorial and from the aesthetics. So well done.
Thank you.
I'm stealing the mic. Congratulations. I think this story by Bicycle and a postman sending letters is the beginning of a big, big story, a big human story. It's about art. It's about how, in an invisible way, art was transmitted. And this is a very beautiful way to show it. And many revolutions have begun with a bicycle. And this one is an artistic one, and it makes, I hope, also I wish that persons who are playing this are curious also to know what was the meaning of those letters, what was the meaning of the mission of this postman sending the letters, because these letters were heartbreaking, full of mindfulness and full of art. So thank you for this big step into the way of simple people, simple and sincere people, bringing information to other people, and that brings a very, very big message to humanity.
Oh, I would say that I like very much this project. It's a poetry, and there are very few poetry in game. But I have two small remarks. I understood that the game is inspired by a book, and you should put more in the presentation. There is a divorce between books and games, and you are trying to manage something which brings them together. So you should enforce that. And my second remark is that the bicycle is going too quickly. I understand that I should walk instead of taking the bicycle, but for my travel, if we can slow down the bicycle, it could be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I like the aesthetic of the game, and I like the light system. So good work, guys. And so, what do you think about improve the interaction with the game? So, for instance, you could connect the game to trainer, a bike trainer, or something like that. So you can have a bike and moving in the game. Because it's like a game to explore.
Admittedly, it's not something that we had thought of when starting the project, but I think maybe a big preference, maybe not to go into the kind of alternative input section is, well, really to keep kind of, well, the target audience being casual gamers, and the fact that there's a lot more to the gameplay rather than just riding the bicycle. So it's a bit, in that sense, it's a bit complicated. Like, where do you get off the bicycle in real life when you're walking or talking or handing over letters? So it wasn't something that we originally thought about, but I guess it could be something that for further forward to keep in mind. But there's a lot more elements from the gameplay which could make it a bit complicated to really implement effectively. That being said, I don't know if I answered your question correctly.
Oh, yeah, thank you for the answer, but it would be interesting to think how to tweak this. So how to trick, how to pass from the bike interaction. I mean, if you use physical object like on trainer, how to trick from the bike to the walking. You can have some idea because we lack some games with home trainer bikes. Thank you.
Should we introduce ourselves? Hi, so I'm Cécile. I'm part of Focus. I'm part of the sourcing team at Focus Entertainment. So thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the game, and thank you also for the little lavender smells. I think like it added an extra layer of being immersed in this nice countryside. I have two. Of course, I agree with most of what has been said before, but I have two things that are a bit less positive, because, you know, you don't want to get back with only compliments. One is about the exploration. There were a couple of things that hindered or prevented me from wanting to explore. One was the lack of things to interact with. I mean, when you explore in the countryside, sometimes you can, even if it's very empty, I mean, even if there are no landmarks, you will maybe sit on the ground, look at a flower or a little bug or something, you know. You have this sense of scales. And here, it felt pretty empty. And the other one, so the bike was pretty fast, but walking was pretty slow. So whenever I dropped my bike and walked a couple of steps, I felt like it was a big hurdle to keep moving. And my very last remark, it's more on what the feeling I get from the whole experience. It's something very traditional. And so I'm not sure of, like, you know, it's set in the past. The characters feel very, we have seen them all in books, in movies. It feels like it belongs to the past. And being like a modern person, sometimes I felt a bit lost. Like, how do I create a connection with these characters? They felt a bit remote. Also with the writing, which was a bit, you know, embellished, a bit, well, maybe I'm the only one thinking like that, just my 2 cents. But thank you very much. It was still very nice and cozy.
Thank you.
Louis, producer at Asobo. Same than other people. Thank you very much, because with the time you had, you succeed to make a good experience. Even if I experienced 2 crashes maybe during my playtime, but it was very cool. Same remarks. I was a little bit disappointed by about the small number of interaction, not with people, but with the world. And I have a question to the design team. Did you plan, or maybe do you already have some ideas to transform the bike into a toy, for example? I mean, I think that there is a easy way to add fun stuff with the bike, you know, a drink, or something else. But do you have a plan for that?
Yeah, at the start of the project, we have put the idea of create a different terrain with comment on dit-vous?
Like the
gravel,
mud
like,
or something
like gravel, like sand, or we change the movement of the vélo, the bike. And you can fall with your bike, but we have this scope.
Yes, I understand.
We don't have fun with the bike. you can just write.
Okay, okay.
As we said during the presentation, we're still planning on releasing the game on Steam, so there will be a lot of bug fixes, but we also want to increase the interaction of the worlds. That's a big part of the game. That's, yes, it's there's a lot of time that when we pass by something that is interactable, but that we don't know it is, and there's also a lot of things like like you say, the drink on the bike. That was a thing that we talk about. That was a thing that we wanted to do, but lack of time, lack of time. So also.
Of course. Last thing, your part on the methodology was very interesting, and as you said, you did it in the right way. The making an open world is a real challenge, and you said that it was a real challenge. But yeah, you have to try. You have to continue to try, and even if you fail, that's you are here for that. So yeah, it was a nice part of your presentation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add, there is an error when we try and get the build. Like it's not, the link does not work. Thank you.
You want to? No. If I'm not frustrating any oh yes. So the final word for Stéphane.
Just a suggestion, correct bugs, make a clear English version and send it to IGDA contest.
It's already in process for the Steam release. There will be a multiple language options. Thank you.
A last question or remark.
Jean-Luc, I'm an art director of Assassin's Creed Mirage. Just a quick word. First, congratulations as an art director. There is a clear intention of poetry, so you got me on that. I experienced a bug, you know it, which allowed me to have some emergent gameplay. So I started to have a pipe run and tricks with the bike for those who were there. Don't add that on the game. It will completely kill the poetry and the nostalgia you're trying to do. So even if it seems fun, don't do some silly stuff with the bike. Yeah, just change the pace perhaps, but or enlarge perhaps the bridge to avoid people falling from the bridge. But congratulations, that was really poetry, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's congratulate the team once again. And let's welcome the next one, Forlorn. We change the atmosphere.
Nous sommes prêts. Just a second.
Okay, sorry for that. Let's go. A cave, a lantern, your fears echo back. What you just saw is forlorn. Where is... thank you. So, forlorn. Hi everyone, thank you for being here with us today. So let's start with the concept of Forlorn. What were our intentions? Forlorn is an exploration-based experience in VR, centered around facing one's fears. The player takes on the role of a humanoid who wakes up in the dark cave with only a lantern glowing in their hand, and the adventure begins. We wanted to create a slow, steady build-up and sustained tension, leading to a final shift, from fear to wonder. We also wanted to give meaning to the experience, so particularly through environmental storytelling. Let's begin with our main intention, creating fear.
We wanted to explore different types of fear, so each fear is triggered by different things, but they all come from the same feeling of vulnerability. Fear of the dark comes from losing what's familiar, and fear of the unknown stems from imagination and takes over quickly. We also wanted to add new elements in our environment to maintain a growing sense of tension.
So one of our tools for creating that sense of vulnerability for the player was to play with spatial scale. We alternate compressed, tight corridors that the most claustrophobic of you will surely love, with the big rooms with high ceiling so that you feel out of place and crushed by the sheer size of the room you're in. Also, we wanted to avoid all the classical cheap stuff, cheap way of inducing fear, like loud sounds, jump scares, all that kind of things. Instead, we wanted to rely mostly on ambience and the apprehension to explore the unknown. Thus, sound design was very important together with the lighting, hence the very small light radius provided by the lantern, never fully revealing what you will encounter next or what may be behind you. Also, we wanted the players to feel a bit lost sometimes, and so we mapped the corridors to make it look like a maze. And in the dark, it looks like it. But in fact, branching paths often loop back on themselves, and other than that, the path stays pretty straightforward, so you have, in fact, almost no chance of actually getting lost.
For artistic direction, we wanted to create an atmosphere that will confuse the player. To achieve this, we create assets with noise and imperfection to open to interpretation. To start with a base already full of details, I use photogrammetry, like the end of the skelet dolphin here. After resculpting the mesh, I modify them by applying some noise textures as mold, mouse, and roots, and here's the final result.
The level design was created with environment variations based on Lilian's concept arts. First, a cave, then a prison with more carved type of rooms, and the final place, the cell. And this is how it has been translated in the game. So, first, the cave is a natural part, a bit gloomy, but somewhat a familiar sight. Then the prison amps up the fear and brings you into a place you feel you really shouldn't be in. The walls and floors are sharp and straight, almost too geometrical, with spikes and corpses littered everywhere. But finally, in the last moments, the game reveals the inside of the cell, a beautiful and calming sight to shift the mood into wonder and contemplation.
The sound design progressively shifts from realism to abstract and distorted textures. It also becomes increasingly unwelcoming, starting with, at the start of the prison, a huge door that screams "Go back" from where you come from. Let's hear this. So overall, I used raw texture sounds, something rough and ancient, evoking a forgotten civilization that feels both organic and alien.
Sorry. We work on the player controller first by taking the constraint of XR, like the player being driven the player controller instead of doing whatever we want with the camera. Designing its core then with features like the lantern lightning, physics, the character movement, rotation, crouch, and adding some screen shake feedbacks. Then we added accessibility on top of it, and by adding layers like choice between 200 and 100 controls, choice of your main hand, to play with adaptations when seated or stay standing, a calibration from the height of the user, and many minor other access features. Finally, we fine-tuned it with the feedbacks for our playtest.
So during early playtest, we noticed that the level of fear experienced wasn't meeting our expectations. So this insight led us to iterate and introduce new elements to improve the overall sense of fear. So we started around 2 and ended up between 3 to 4 out of 8 on the fear spectrum. However, it's just an average, so the results varied a lot since fear is different for everyone.
Our graphics are not common for an XR experience. We've gone for realistic ones, and this involves huge technical aspects to have a high quality when looking close to it, and saving performance when far away. This was solved using techniques like master shaders and materials, and blading, multiplying and adding textures together based on distance from the camera. Also, because our player is carrying lantern dynamic, it means we could not use static lighting, and that's really uncommon with XR, mainly because of the impact on the performance. And because that's not enough, we needed to use multiple point lights to get a realistic lighting behavior. Please don't do this if you're a developer, you will cry for your frame rate. We also used a dynamic point light cookie to get better immersive shadows.
One of the main features of our experience is the strong sense of presence. We also improved locomotion for player comfort by slowing down the movement and adding teleportation. These adjustments helped balance immersion and emotional impact.
For narration, we wanted to create a story free to interpretation. For that, we chose to show rather than tell. So we decided to start telling the story with murals. Murals that show terrifying monsters to create a sense of apprehension in the player. Then we show those same creatures but dead, locked up and tortured in different way. After seeing that, the player can begin to empathize for them. And finally, we see them petrified, flying something, with among them a child. At this point, the player can come to understand that they are also one of those monsters described by murals at the start.
So we run playtests with external users unfamiliar with the game to test how they interpreted the murals. At first, they were not very clear, so we changed the visuals to make them easier to understand, and more playtesting helped us tweak things until it felt clear and left some mystery.
For the end of our game, we wanted to move the player from fear to wonder. To achieve that, we make the player move from a narrow space into a large open room, but which is not really pleasant because it's in the complete darkness. But after having triggering the ignition, the color switch from grey and dark to a magnificent blue and pink, beautiful blue and pink. The player can see now everywhere. He's no longer afraid of the unknown.
About our interactions, our major one is how the lantern interacts with the environment. It uses lightning to allow you to sing in the dark, and to reinforce this existing effect, we added a phosphorescent effect based on the distance of the lantern from objects like murals and vegetation. We otherwise worked on procedural animations, like the cavern door opening, the light intensity varying while impacted from how elevated you keep it, and the final lantern animation triggered when you insert the lantern into the cell. Last but not least, we managed to set up the full event-driven audio.
Instead of ending with classic horror jump scare, we chose to offer a resolution through wonder and amazement. So we validated this design choice with full playtests using the PANAS emotional scale. The results showed a mix of high negative effect, like apprehension and fear, followed by high positive effects, like relief and wonder. So it's indicating the satisfying emotional journey for the player.
This was our first project of this kind, and in VR, no less. So we had to tackle some technical challenges, but also learn how to work together efficiently. On the project management side, the biggest challenge was starting with Agile by the book and adapting it to the team's specific needs and expectations. Looking back, we are really proud of what we accomplished over these 3 months. We had a great time working on it, and we hope you will enjoy it just as much. It's time to close our presentation. Thank you for diving into Forlorn with us. Thank you for playing our game yesterday, and thank you for listening today. If you have questions.
Thank you. So the same as earlier, who would like to start with sharing what they felt in this cave? Yes.
Hello, Léa, User Research Project Manager at Ubisoft. Thank you so much for your presentation. So I really, I was impressed because I understood the high-level narrative stakes, which was not pretty evident since fear and VR experience could impact the cognitive load, actually. I also felt the empathy you wanted to showcase with the characters you made. And also, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the balance between the feeling of being lost without being frustrated, thanks to distinguishable elements in your path that actually made me rely on it. So it was pretty easy to navigate in it without being lost, actually. So it was cool on that side. Also, I wanted to talk about the lantern tool, which felt a bit like a toy, actually, and its impact on the word elements and also on the areas made me wanted to toy with it, actually. So it was so cool on that side. And the fear was not a limitation also for me. It was not something that impaired my experience. but it was more as a lever of motivation, actually, to progress in the level. For example, the red door moment that you just showcased. First, it was a bit like surprising and really it felt like, oh my God, what did I do? But it made me wanted to see more. So thank you a lot for these moments. And about the playtest, congrats also for putting such an effort on testing, and especially with external players in this small amount of times. I know it's a bit complicated to do so, so congrats for that. And also, I have a question about the fear scale usage that you made. I'm curious about what is the scale and why did you choose this one?
Actually, I found it in an article, but I really don't remember the name right now. But it's an article I found online, and it's about explaining all the different kinds of fear that evokes that limited you in your condition, in your state, emotional state.
But thanks a lot for your returns. We love that you enjoyed the game. Thanks a lot.
Hello, Rémi, game designer at Ubisoft. Congratulations, the experience is super polished. I really like the visuals, the sound. The level design is quite good. I like the first linear part and the maze. It creates a lot of emotion as a player. I also like the fact that you have to crouch physically in some claustrophobic passage. As said, the lantern is really a good toy, and I like the interaction with the mirrors. It's really well done. But as a player, I would have liked to have more interaction, because the mirrors sometimes show that light can awake some creatures. So I think maybe you could have leaned into a more gameplay experience where you have to take care of what you are showing with your light. So yeah, as a game designer, I would have to a bit more gameplay, because before the experience you said to me it's an experience, so you warned me, but I think you could generate more fear by not warning the player and maybe have more interaction. But it's great, and congratulations for your works.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, we would have loved to have more interactions, and we thought about it at the start, but then we had to be realistic and not get greedy, and yeah, we had to descope, but we would have loved to emphasize more the sense of presence with touching, grabbing things, interacting. We thought at the start maybe some kinds of puzzle-ish kind of things where you have to pick up a key somewhere to open a door somewhere else. But yeah, we had to think smaller because we had only 3 months. But yeah, it was on our mind, but couldn't make it.
Yes, Aida del Solar, Art and Creative Director here. I want to congratulate you, because we worked, most of them, we worked about dramaturgy, and we work with some of you color. And choosing black is very daring, because black is not the last thing. Is the first thing we feel is fear, and fear can save us. So it's not the last, at least, thing, but it's how can we react to our fear. And I think the work you did with black, which can be very boring, and this is not boring because there is light, there is colors in this black, so it's a fantastic experience that I'm going to play. I couldn't because it was full yesterday. Just to say, the reference I was feeling, it was very artistically, it was Amy Winehouse saying Back to Black, and Soulage as an artist who only plays with black and is beautiful. So black is beautiful, and black is an alarm, which is which made humanity. So it's a very beautiful work on that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, I couldn't play it yet. Maybe it's even better because I don't usually play fear games, as long as I get more emotional with that. But anyway, you were talking about the different types of fear. And sometimes fear is more about uncertainty. I don't know if you know the book about uncertainty by Kostikin. Maybe you can explore in that direction also. At the same time, I love the final solution from going to fear from in something wonderful, something different. And in the same sense is like the Kisho Tenketsu tradition in Japanese games and Japanese narrative, not to go finally into conflict, but having another solution. So I love also having another solution for this narrative. In that sense, I didn't play yet, but as a construct, congrats.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation and for this experience. I was so scared. I don't know how to share it in English, but I will try. But yeah, I was really, really scared. Maybe in one of your slides you exposed some level of fear. I was at the maximum, I think. 7 or 8. Cedric is not. It was not the same for him, but I don't know how he managed to control his fear. But yeah, for me it's it's a real achievement. So that's why if you don't have the habits to play to fear games or movie, you can try, like me, but you will have feelings that you never had before. And you said it, as during the experience you really have to crouch. I don't know. It improved the immersive aspect of your experience a lot, and also as well the level design was good. The door animation was impressive. I didn't want to go through the door after. For me, yeah, the creature was behind. And also your visuals, your drawings on the wall for me are good. And it's hard to make a consistent old visual, I mean, in a virtual world. So yeah, for me, you understand that a bit the story thanks to this visual. So congrats for that. And yeah, of course, at the end, I was still scared, even if you have the light and stuff, because the creature was just next to you. But I tried at the end to give my hand to the creature because I started to feel some empathy, but it was a complete for me, it's a real success, so thank you.
Thank you very much. We are as sorry as we are proud of your experience. Thank you very much. Lian, do you? Okay.
Hello. I'm Thorsten from Amaze Festival. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very detailed, and I really enjoyed all the different kinds of departments and all the responsibilities you had by making it happen. And usually I'm not playing fear games. I hate jump scare and everything. But it's when you go through something like that, you have to play it, and it's something what I really enjoyed. So we're gonna play more of them because how you told me the story as well, that you get some kind of weird hands, you know. I was kind of, why do I have this weird hand? So, but I didn't know who I am. But then through all this kind of story, what you was telling on the murals, then suddenly I had a little bit of a glimpse that maybe I shouldn't be scared because I'm just one of them. So I had the feeling, and there's something what you really delivered very, very well, and especially you just had not enough time, I think, to make it really work, and you did a great job. I think building something like that, what is complete, what you really can show at any festival easily. I think you did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
The only thing, no, because there was at the end, there was a jump scare, right? When you are in this wonder in the hall, right? So is there a jump scare? Because I was going a little bit backwards just to see a little bit more of the cathedral thing, Wonder World. And then suddenly something happened, but I missed it because, I mean, the sound design is so good. And I turned around and it happened already. And then suddenly I saw that this creature, what was holding the lamp or something like that, was kind of moving. And I missed that completely because that was probably the last jump scare, right?
It wasn't supposed to be a
Well,
jump
not the
scare.
last, the only.
It's supposed to be slow and like the creature depetrifies and slowly starts moving. But that's the problem with VR. Of course, you can't control where players will look at. So if you look away for 20 seconds and then snap back and wow, it's moving. So yeah, it was not supposed to be a jump scare, but sometimes it acts like one.
We're also playing with all the elements in there very, very well. So because somehow I always had the feeling something is moving, so it was really cool. And also this kind of spikes, you know? I mean, you were crawling somewhere and then you suddenly saw the spikes. And I was thinking like, oh my God, now I have to do sport, you know? Now you have to duck or whatever, do something and to move differently and be careful of that. But nothing was happening. This was the cool thing. Actually, nothing was happening. It's so awesome. Thank you. Everything happened just in your mind.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I think you made very interesting experiments, and you start in an experimental way. But to be honest, I was not afraid at all. At the contrary of the previous, I don't know why. I'm not particularly courageous, so this is not the explanation. I have several suggestions. One is make a lot of playtests with a measurement of the evolution of the feeling of the player. It's not really easy to do. It's a psychological evaluation which can be complex, but it's interesting for your game and maybe something to make a paper explaining of your experimentation and how it works and why in certain cases it didn't work. And another point that I told you already, I think you should increase the sound localization. You have 3D sounds, but you don't localize well the source. And it's, in your case, something which is very important. But thank you for your game and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for playing it.
Thank you for your feedback. There is a lot to improve sound-wise, and it will be improved these weeks.
Hello, Bastien Giaferi, Bureau 81. So at the beginning, I was thinking I wasn't afraid. When I finished the demo, I gained confidence because basically nothing happens. So I was, of course, a bit afraid at the beginning because of the mood of the game. But then I saw that basically nothing happened, so I gained confidence. Or at least this is what I thought, because now that I think about it, I was always looking behind my back. When the door is opening, it's super slow. And I was like, okay, I have to check the door in case something happened. But at the same time, if something happens behind me, I need to check everywhere. And basically, I didn't understand the story because of that, because I was so focused on making sure that nothing happens, nothing stays the same way. And also I really liked so you explained to me afterwards what the plot twist was, the fact that we are playing one of the supposedly monsters and they are actually the victims there. And for an horror game like that, I think it's super great to have this kind of plot twists. So congrats.
Thank you very much.
Hi, just one quick remark, please. So when you make presentations, try to use a bigger font in order to make it easy to read. And the aesthetic was amazing. Everything is dark. But the water can, is so colorful. Is that a metaphor for the lantern? Just a question. Take it into account.
It's all a matter of contrast.
Hello, Lucas, producer at Ubisoft Bordeaux. So I didn't have the chance to play the game. I watched someone played it. So thank you for the presentation. It was way more. I could understand way better your game with that. But I had also during this time the opportunity to watch the room you choose, and I had a question about the room you choose and if you had any idea to amplify the feeling of being hunted, or maybe the fear or the feeling you wanted to convey with the room. And I don't know if you had any idea in terms of presentation when you enter the room of the PlayStation. Could be like with the AC you had, you could have maybe turn a bit lower the degrees to be like in a cave. I don't know. And I was wondering if it was part of the experience you wanted to convey, or it was just a room and you wanted to focus fully on the gameplay and the VR. Thank you.
Honestly, we wanted to focus on the gameplay, and we have an issue with the light and the VR headset. We have to have some light to use it. So yeah, we wanted to focus really on the experience, but yeah, it could be more dark.
Yeah, we wanted to set a mood in the room to immerse people, and when they wait or watch someone else play, they are also in the mood. We printed one of the game's murals on the wall and put phosphorescent paint on it, so that if it was dark, it would glow like in the game. But we couldn't really close the curtains because the VR headset needs light to scan the area and determine at what height it is, and so it was critical to play the game. And yeah, so we couldn't get as dark and gloomy as we would have liked.
Hello, Coralie at Arte, producer. To start, congratulations about the accessibility parameters at the beginning of the games, because in a VR project sometimes it's missing. So you have multiple options. So that's very great. Me, I was thinking that maybe you were too shy on this project because I didn't feel much the fear, because maybe I love horror games, so I was not very scared, but that's okay because you already mentioned that you didn't play much horror games, so I can understand that. But also about the story hidden in the walls, I didn't get it through all the experience. I saw that the lights could be dangerous, and I had to walk and I will see creatures, but that's all. But maybe it was my experience, but I missed some things there, and maybe I would like to interact with something on the notes or something like that. But yes, quite shy on sound effects sometimes. You say to me, maybe they will have some jump scare sound, but I didn't heard it, so maybe there are some parameters here to complete. But I think as I really love horror games, horror movies, I really like this project, but just maybe had more interactive and in story and much more things to do. Sorry, but yes, you understand.
Thank you very much. Yeah, for the story, we wanted to keep an ambiguity with what you were saying, and still get a sense that even if you don't get the story, it's not detrimental for enjoying the experience. But yeah, and actually, yeah, we didn't want to rely too much on jump scares, and we would like to set the tone, set the mood, and let the imagination do the rest instead of just going boo, ha ha, you were scared. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So let's congratulate the team one last time.
Thank you very much.
And let's welcome the last team before the break for this morning. So, well, it's not the last for this morning, but let's welcome Fading Echoes.
Here I stay.
Hello everyone, and welcome aboard Fading Echoes. Aboard Fading Echoes. So first of all, let's get through the high-level intentions that gather us around the project and that guide us in extracting a pitch and pillars for our games. To begin with, the project was built around two major shared desires: delve into alternative controllers for the video game and explore a poetry type of narration. From those premises, we refined our vision and decided that the story we're going to narrate to the player gonna talk about exile and loneliness. From there, we found interesting to reflect that idea physically by isolating the installation and therefore the player from the gaze of others, thus turning the table on the theatrical dimension of alternative controller. Consequently, it reinforced that focus on loneliness. But I will now let the floor to Etienne, our game designer, and Luca, our programmer, to dive more into details about the pitch and the gameplay specifics.
So Fading Echoes is an exploration game and an immersive installation which invites you to navigate a strange dreamlike sea by physically manipulating a rope and a radar. The player takes on the role of an unnamed navigator left stranded near a gigantic extinguished lighthouse, and they will need to search and chase fragments of old memories hidden in the environment in order to unravel the reasons behind this exile. Concerning the gameplay, as in any game with alternative controllers, the controls are at the center of the game. In Fading Echoes, you pull on the rope in order to unfold your sail and manage your speed, and you'll tilt your helm in order to steer your boat and choose the direction you want to go. The gameplay loop, at first the player will be left to roam on the open sea, but they will quickly spot high landmarks that detach themselves from the horizons. If they sail to those landmarks, they will enter thematic zones built around this landmark, each with their own distinct and coherent atmosphere. In each of those thematic zones is hidden an echo, which is this whisk-like entity born of suppressed memory. And by chasing it around the environment, they will rekindle some braziers, and if they follow this echo to the end of its path, they will get to watch a cinematic sequence and rediscover fragments of their past. This gameplay loop takes place on a freely explorable zone, which posed a lot of design challenges that could be overcome thanks to the help of efficient tools built by Luca.
So that's why we choose to focus on easy-to-use tool in order to iterate a lot. It implies a lot of tweakable parameters with an intuitive interface. In our case, it has been achieved by using Audi Inspector. We made a few tools. All of them include debug features and undo system compatibility, allowing you to use Ctrl-Z in the editor and revert things. But for now, we choose to show you just one of them, the Echo tool, to bring an example. So let's focus on it. And more specifically, let's take a look at this list. It contains all the browsers linked to the Echo. Those will be linked on the way of the Echo. In here you can add or remove a browser. You can set its trigger points. And everything is connected to the prefab system and can be reverted as well. The point of this example is not just show you the good list I made because I like it, but to explain, we conceived tools that aim to be practical and fast to use, allowing a lot of trial and errors for the game and level design.
We'll now talk a little bit more about the narration and the environment of the game. So we have cinematics. They have two main purposes in the game. First, to give a goal to the player by showing them that they can progressively reignite the lighthouse at the center of the map. but they also deliver background elements in the form of murals recounting past events of the playable characters, which have been drawn by our 2D artist Lily. But we didn't want this type of narration to take precedence over the environment, which is the real star of the game. That's why, for example, we tried to have a lot of recurring motifs between those murals and the environment, as if those past events have taken physical shapes in the environment of the game.
And as Etienne said, as you understood, we asked the player to navigate through a wide open ocean. So we had to carefully think and design a strong point of interest in the game. Each zone has its own vibe with specific colors, kelp and modular rocks, and every area features a unique landmarks, like the lighthouse, a wallboard carcass, or the crane statue. This landmark will be visible from afar to guide the player, but also intriguing up close, encouraging both exploration and orientation. And for now, let's dive a little deeper into the crane statue, one of our favorite places in the game. The crane statue marks the zone of exile. From afar, its silhouette in the fog feels a bit uncanny and not really reassuring. But as you get closer, it starts to start melancholy and evoke a quiet sadness that builds the mood of the zone. And to catch the echo, you have to navigate around it, which adds to its presence. The area is filled with corals, reef, chains, caustics, and hands reaching from above the water, creating the strange and poetic atmosphere that we aimed for. And each zone and landmarks has its own signature, always saving the overall tone. But now, to do these landmarks, you have to navigate, and I will let Armand tell you more about the tech outside and especially the boat.
Well, at this rate of the presentation, we are kind of glad to announce that our game is all about boat and water. Sorry. These two are cool, but implies some challenges. Let's have a quick look at how we managed to tackle them. To begin with, the sail was one of our biggest interrogations following us along the production. At first, we've made some designs trying to figure out how the sail could look the coolest. But with every design leads a lot of issues to fix. The sail is opaque and masks a big amount of the player's POV. That's a bit of a problem because the player's not able to figure out where's supposed to go and simply to appreciate the landscapes as well. Not to mention that the mast itself masked a lot of the POV too. That's why we basically lowered the opacity of the sail, put kind of an animation shader to fit with the wind, animations, stuff like that. And we just got rid of the mast, basically.
So now we'll talk about the alternative controller that some of you tested yesterday. So it's made to physically interact with the game. There is 3 pillars to merge affordance, efficiency, and goals, aka having an impact in the game. There was a work on ergonomics of objects, essentially, and a research on woodworking linked to playability. For example, with the materials used, their durability, their weight associated with the different mechanisms. I want to talk with the accessibility intentions, the precisely physical accessibility we wanted to do. To add a leg alternative was planned for both controller, the pulley and the helm. So with more time after this hour, maybe we'll do it. It's a slight addition. It doesn't change the main controller. So a person with no leg or no arms, or also one leg on breath, can play. But we'll speak later about access in-game.
As you might have guessed, for now, we like boats. But when we're out there doing boat things, we like our boats to sound like boats. So that's why we've decided, while working on the remote control, let's C'est celui-là. That's why we've decided to work, on a semi-realistic audio direction to evoke familiarity. The player that is using a boat while sailing the sea has a coherent and consistent sound feedback that's assisting every movement that he's doing in the environment with the boat. But at the same time, it's just not any sea. He's just not like in the middle of Charente doing a rafting. Everything is a little bit different, everything is out of place, so we decided to mix it with a touch of whimsicality to suggest uncanny. The player is not supposed to be here, but he is exploring this strange land. Our main focus was, therefore, to completely immerse the player in this world using a 5.1 surround sound system. The environment that the player is exploring is in itself very transitory, very liminal, but the environment changes, and all these changes that we hear in the music and ambience reflect the changes that the main character is living through the narrative journey of the game. We start with a certain ambience, with certain elements and certain music. Once the first echo has been reached and the first narrative segment has been revealed, the ambience changes and the music also changes and evolves to reflect the mood of the player, etc. As Lily said before, we've had our hands full working on UX. We really worked together between cross-disciplines to have something that's coherent and consistent and reflect what we wanted to do with the game. For example, we had accessibility features for sound, like volume and filters for people that have hearing sensitivities. We had different audio configurations, so the game would be accessible in stereo, 5.1, mono. We localized the game in 2 different languages, English and French, and that's including the subtitles that are customizable. The controllers are remappable, because not everybody has a boat at home to play the game, I guess. And we also integrated a guidance mode, because since it's an open world, it might be a little bit tricky for some players to discover the narrative zone. So the guidance mode can help you to locate where the next echo is by pinging in a specific direction.
So just a quick word to wrap up this presentation. We hope that you had as much fun playing Fading Echoes as we are making it alongside those wonderful people. We are also thrilled to tell you that Fading Echo is soon available on HEO and compatible with gamepad and keyboard if you want to continue your exploration. Thank you.
Thank you. So, which sailor will talk first? Sorry, I come.
Hi, so Cécile from Focus. So I had a lot of fun with the controller. I drifted, I sometimes mistake my left and my right, but in the end I kind of managed to go where I wanted to go. And I felt a bit sad watching your presentation because after the echo reached the first brazier, I lost it. And I never managed to find it again. And I feel like I missed out on so many stuff that you have put together. And so I think if you decide to go a bit further, maybe try and find some tools to help to guide your player to put them on the right track again. Like I would have loved to have it because you have I still managed to explore. I got to the weeping statue, but yeah, I missed out on so many stuff. So yeah, I'm a bit sad.
Thank you very much. For the 5.1 installation that you've tried yesterday, since it's really difficult to navigate a game menu using a rope and a rudder, you could not access the guidance mode, but it exists. So if you want to re-experience the game at home in stereo mode, don't hesitate to open the menu. If you lose the echo, activate the guidance mode and it will lead you there.
Well, yes, I'm sorry. It's not about boats and water. I dreamt about this yesterday. And well, to explain a little bit very shortly, I was born in South Pacific. I was enjoying your game. I was navigating back to the Pacific, great, and suddenly I saw these hands, help. And so this remaining giant civilization maybe. And yes, I dreamt about Easter Island. I was reading with AI that it was not exterminated. This is a 2025 version. But what I have learned is that this island was maybe, there are some islanders still there. There's some DNA of people of Easter Island. You know, Easter Island is very on the south of Chile in Pacific Ocean. But they were Thor Heyerdahl who told that people looking for working hands for minerals in South America, or people coming with a very funny sickness and they were not vaccinated, that put this population off. So maybe there are some survivors, but your game is not only is navigating, is funny, is good, but these hands and what you set as environment is a call for help somehow, and we have to listen to that. And I think you can go farther with this because it's very interesting how the ocean can be different if you do a game about this and you send a message that is this giant people there, and there's something to learn about that. So I think it's fun. It's fun to navigate. It's very real, but you have a dramaturgic and beautiful visual message to work forward because it's very, very moving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was really important for us to create evocative places without really forcing meaning to the players if they don't really want to follow our story with the echoes, if they just want to explore the world by themselves. And it's a reason why we choose to isolate the player with the controller, to let them wander in the mind and in the sea at the same time. And we're really happy you managed to find some meaning specific to you in the game.
Hi, Heimer from UNAID University. First of all, congratulations because the game feel is absolutely amazing. Yeah, it's about a boat, it's about navigating. I will love to have also been able to see the accessibility options because nice. Also that you have thought about people that don't have boats in their homes, which I think is amazing. So I will be able to show this to my students because it's a great example of how to create sensations, how to tell a lot without saying too much. But I also want to thank you for one detail that I thought it was quite nice from you. It was a physical detail. I don't know if in the picture you have on your device there we can see it or not, but it was the little device that let you not having to take the rope the whole time, like to fix the rope there, over there. It was really good. It was a really well thought little part of the device because yes, sometimes you just want to take the wheel and just steer at the same speed, not having to think about the rope. And I thought that was also another accessibility user experience decision based on that. Well, it says a lot about how you thought about your experience and how you wanted to give the player the best experience possible. So I highly congratulate you for those tiny details that you had over there.
You talked before about the accessibility. With the itch.io version, you'd have a complete UI when you push option button, and there is a lot of parameters according to volume, like Jules said. So it's not only here to be useful, it's also organized by category. So it will be more seen in the PC version. And for the rope and the different knots, it's also a matter of playtest and researchers, because we didn't want it to play on tiredness of people. We wanted them to feel chill and calm. It's not a game which needs sports parameters. You're not here to sweat. You're here to chill. So.
But that's what tests are for, to be able to realize those kind of details. And it's always good for any development team to be able to take those tests, that feedback, and do something for it. That's why I praise you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, I enjoyed a lot sailing with the boat. In the same sense, I was sometimes lost, as other people said before. The only thing is about discovering the past history. When you get the light in different sections and you reveal fragments of the past. But as long as I have to control the boat, as long as the pacing is maybe not slowing me down, I not enjoyed so much the fragment of information you provide. And I cannot recover that fragment of information. I don't know if this is about discovering and this is about isolation and recovering the past in some sense. Maybe I could get all those fragments into a mental map, whatever, a book or something, a diary, because I like to know more, but I didn't have time enough to unblock the information code in those graphics. So I know it's difficult because you get the freedom for the player to mark the pacing with the boat and the speed, and it was wonderful. But at the same time, I miss that information, and you work for it, and you have done nicely with the graphics in that sense. So I would like to see it more or recover that information more. Okay. Anyway, it was wonderful. I enjoyed it a lot. So congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. It's something we thought about during development. How do you get the player to really manage all the narrative information we give to them? But at the end, we decided that we needed to focus on the essentials of the controller. That's why, for example, we scrapped plans we had for camera control that kind of get in the way of the control of the boat. And at the end, all those narrative elements are really here to kind of support all the atmosphere and the mood we set with the environments. And we consider you don't miss the experience of the game if you just have little elements of the story, because the main elements of about the atmosphere of the game are in the environment and in the mood we set with all the props made by our graphic team.
I'll try to be as fast as possible. I will distinguish two things: game and experience. This is the best experience I had yesterday. You feel so chill and cool that you forget it's a game. You don't care it's a game. That's perhaps the danger of the setup. I want this setup at home, just to tell you. Really, you immediately feel you're driving a boat, and it's really so chill and cool that you don't care about anything else. This is just where you've been with the sound, with the art direction. Congratulations for all of this. This is in 2 seconds you're there. You move a bit the boat, and you understand that you're going to be in control, not in danger. Perhaps the problem also, so. It's not wrong things that I'm going to tell, but it's things that were conflicting my chilling moment. First, I think that the narration depends on the fresco, for example. They are far above the line of sight, and if you want to concentrate on them, there is a lot of chance that you are not stopped. So you're going to drive your boat anyway. So half of your brain is concentrated on piloting, and so you won't have time to understand what's going on. And in a way, you don't care because you're so chill, and it doesn't feel important. So I missed completely the narration because of that, but I'm not sad because I had the best moment, perhaps the best experience yesterday. So this is mixed feeling because it's my job is emotions, and you delivered completely emotions. But sometimes I'm trying to tell stories, and I think that you shoot yourself in the foot because it was so great in the emotional level. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
it's bits of the same that what Jean-Luc said. First of all, as we said, the toy was quite impressive. In few seconds, you understand how you use the boat, so it was nice. Also, of course, I just wander around. But today, I saw your presentation and I just discovered another game, basically, because I never saw the Fresco or the lighthouse and stuff. So I think the guidance system is a good idea. Maybe you could implement it a bit more like a system in your game, because at the end of the day, you are creating something, and I just missed half of it. Even on the sound layer, I missed some of your work. So maybe you could guide a little bit more the player at some point after he wanders around a bit too much. And also congratulations on the presentation, because it looks quite elegant and quite nice. So good effort on it also. So congratulations.
Hello, Jonas from Ubisoft in Level Design. Thank you very much for your game and your presentation. It was really great. Everyone said it, but I will still repeat it. You have an amazing controller, really. Please submit it to Well Control GTC. I think you have a really good chance of getting in. So yeah, very immersive controller, very pleasant, very. The environment as well is very cool. You have a nice composition. It's really inviting. I have two comments / questions. The first one, you have a contemplative experience. So I was a bit frustrated maybe to not be able to look at the environment. I think you mentioned it, that you decided to cut it for control reasons, so I understand, but it was a bit of a frustration for me, especially since you have a very contemplative experience. And the second, my game designer, the game designer in me was wondering if I would have wanted a bit more gameplay. The loop you have of finding the light, following it, and lighting the brazier is nice. And the more I think about it, the more I think that it's really enough. The only thing that maybe I want to know if you have considered it is to have more contrast in the environments that you have. I felt that there was a lot of open areas, open sky. Did you consider having more like lower ceiling, more passages that are a bit narrower? I understand that you don't want a lot of challenge, but maybe more contrast in the environment, gameplay-wise and also visually, would maybe have helped the issues of feeling a bit lost and not finding your way to the next ball of light. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedbacks. I'll try to answer to several feedbacks at the same time. First, with the alternative controller, we couldn't set up several players at the same time, so we had to. We were constrained by time. The game, you can have the feeling of the game, of the controller, of how the atmosphere is built in 10 minutes, but it's hard to get all the narrative and gameplay structure in those 10 minutes span. So I think it's one of the reasons why it was hard for some of the player yesterday to really get through the whole loop of the game. And concerning the contrast in the level design, it's something we tried with those thematic zones. We tried to have some more open area in the empty zone that I think in the 10-minute span a lot of players stayed because of time constraint. But those thematic zones, for example, the zone of the with the crane statue is a little bit more with a little bit more of obstacles with all the ends, all the reef. And it's harder to navigate. It posed issues at first because the controller wasn't adapted to such concentration of obstacles, so we had to change how the control of the game reacts. And in the open sea, we tried to have something more spaced out with some tunnels to guide you at some time between the thematic zone, but it's more or the open sea to get you in the feeling of loneliness and isolation we try to do at first.
So this invites us to try to play again your game during the breaks, maybe at lunchtime or at the end of the day. So this will bring me to the break that we're gonna have. But before that, please, a last round of applause. Congratulations to the team. So as I said, even if we took a bit delay, I invite you for a break, 10 minutes. So let's get back in 10 minutes at 10:30. Thank you so much, and maybe a last round of applause for the people of this morning, for the group of this morning.